Now, like most people on Christmas, I was chilling with family and friends, doing Christmas things. I just arrived back in Finland and I hadn't really intended on starting work until January. And that's when I received a message from the funniest man in the world. Now, if you know me, you'll probably say that I'm a bit of a comedy nerd, and no, it wasn't the podcast world that brought me there. Now, at a young age, through my parents, I was listening to British comedians that would play on New Zealand TV, like Billy Connolly, Michael McIntyre, and Eddie Izzard. And the comedy scene in New Zealand was strong for a small nation, and so my love for it continued to grow. And eventually discovering comics to my own taste as I matured, like Bill Hicks and Doug Stanhope and Carlin and Pryor and Norm Macdonald. I even remember watching David Tell's Insomniac when I was like 15 years old when it aired at like 1 in the morning. Given all that, I was pretty exhausted from recent travel and I had a lunch planned with dear friends I hadn't seen for quite a few months at this point. My camera gear was also in a different city from where I was and a different city from where the gig was. But this funny man was no other than Ismo Leikola, who, if you're not familiar with, has appeared on Conan, Last Call with Carson Daly, and The Late Show with James Corden. Or you may know him from literally being voted the funniest man alive. Yeah, I wasn't kidding about that part. And one of the rare, or maybe only cases, of a comedian who's successful enough and talented enough to go out and travel Western countries, selling out shows in English and also in Finnish within Finland. And the event was set to take place at the Nokia Arena in Tampere, which is currently Finland's biggest arena. And the show was set to be the biggest comedy show in Finland's history. So I asked my friends the annoying and difficult question of, can we reschedule? They were surprisingly easy and just said, yeah, go. And so I gave them the false hope of, if I ever get rich and famous, I'll make it up to you. So off I went, taking the omnibus to Turku to find my gear in an unpacked house, and then the next day, another omnibus to Tampere. It was then that I started to think to myself, how the hell am I going to photograph this? Like, I've photographed big stage events before and small ones, but those have been like rock bands. There's multiple people, there's instruments, there's lighting, there's expression, there's movement. This was just going to be a guy holding a mic. But alas, the stage was set and it was showtime.
Ismo Leikola. Heippa. No niin.
So I started out by getting a few generic shots, the ones I'm used to when I'm paid to provide a certain look or to include a sponsor. Then I remembered, I'm not getting paid. This is all part of a project where I travel Finland to photograph people and events for free. An unofficial episode, mind you, but nevertheless. I have full creative freedom. And I had been told this specifically by the wonderful management team who put me up there in the first place. And there was another professional photographer paid to be there for his skills in the matter, and capturing all, I assume, what had been discussed as per his hiring. Which, by the way, you can go and check out. He's a great photographer, and go and check out his photos from the same gig. So use my creative freedom I did, and I switched to a telephoto lens and positioned myself to get close. Like, close. I wanted to explore themes such as the intimacy of performance, the pressure, rage, and desire to be loved that often serve as the soil for writing jokes. And also the vulnerability. Obviously, performers are vulnerable when they're on stage, but also so are we when we laugh. You might notice this when you have a sudden outburst of laughter, that it's often followed by a short period of embarrassment. I thought back to all the previous comedy specials I've watched in my life and the ones that I loved. And it was the black and white ones that came to mind. And plus, I never really get to shoot a gig in full black and white, so let's do it. Most recently, I was really inspired by Bob Fosse's film Lenny, after I finally got the chance to see it in an independent cinema in France. Lenny Bruce was another comedian whose act specifically placed an emphasis on words and observationally how they are used, although often tonally darker than Ismo. And I've always loved the way that comedy looks in black and white. Bill Burr's I'm Sorry You Feel That Way, and Dennis Miller's aptly named Black and White. And so the worries of how I would make a man holding a microphone look interesting in photograph were rapidly disappearing. The expressions and gestures that Ismo gave on stage were a dream to photograph. Making an arena full of people laugh with the movement of your eyebrows or scrunching up of the face is just part of what makes him a master, and a large part of what makes him incredible to photograph. I did have some moments in closer proximity to Ismo, but with a show as big as this, with all the work to focus on and all the other people to meet and greet, I did my best to stay out of the way. Though I witnessed a very hardworking and focused comedian that night, and in our brief exchange of words, a very polite and considerate one. Hopefully one day we'll get the chance to meet with a little bit more time and give me the chance to pick his brain about the comedy of life. And the show was, of course, fantastic. And the way that it was run was more than impressive. And so I would like to extend my congratulations to all the staff, sound, lighting, riggers, security, catering, and management, and of course, Ismo Leikola, for such a massive success of a show, and all of my gratitude for having me on board. Additionally, I probably never would have made it out there without the ease and the affordability of Omnibus. And I'd like to encourage you to catch one. Go see a city you haven't been to before or visit an old friend. If you like this video and enjoyed the photos, please do consider subscribing. It goes a long way. Until next time, peace.